Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
I'd
I'd
like
like
to
to
welcome you
welcome
to
you to
today's
today's
webinar
webinar
on
on
active aging
aging.
toward optimal health for life. I'm Karin Whalen, and I'm the host of today's webinar. Today's webinar will be facilitated by myself and also Jim Evanchuk, who is the Executive Director of Active Aging in Manitoba, or AAIM, formerly Alcoa in Manitoba, which most of you will recognize more readily, as it's been a recent name change. So just to give you a little bit of a background about the Wellness Institute and also the history about the two of us, I'd just like to do that just to sort of set the stage here. Here you can see a picture of the Wellness Institute. It looks a little different right now as we're entering into fall and soon we'll be covered in snow. Don't like to think about that so much right yet, but so this is one angle of our facility. We've been around since 1996, so we've been around for over 20 years. We are a not-for-profit certified medical fitness facility in Winnipeg. And through programs and services, our goal is to help prevent illness, improve quality of life, and enhance health outcomes of individuals. So here is a bit of a cutoff bit of our front door. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen. Basically, I wanted to show the joint partnership between the Wellness Institute and AAIM, Active Aging in Manitoba, which is where Active Aging in Manitoba is housed, is at the Wellness Institute. So Alcoa was established many years ago as well, about 19 years ago. Individuals in Manitoba, they attended a national conference and they came back from the national Alcoa conference, which was out east, and they decided it would be a good idea to establish a provincial organization. So hence, Active Living Coalition of Older Adults in Manitoba was formed. So we began our long-standing collaborative relationship that's been now, I guess, about 12 years. And again, AAIM is housed at the Wellness Institute. So in 2007, Alcoa was incorporated. Then we hired a full-time executive director. Jim's been the executive director for quite some time. I'm not sure what year, but Jim's been around a long time. He can tell you exactly how long. In 2010, we became International Council of Active Aging members. Some of you may be familiar with ICAA. And we felt that important to note because both AAIM and Wellness Institute really feel strongly to be aligned with this organization, this international organization, as we really see ourselves aligned with what their philosophy is, and that people can significantly improve the quality of their later years by staying active and fully engaged in life, which is basically what the heart of what both of us do. So there's a really good connect and fit for both of us to be members of ICAA. Very recently, Active Aging in Manitoba became official, and Alcoa, which is a bit of a mouthful, has retired, and we've now taken on a new name. And so we feel that the simplification of the name, Active Aging in Manitoba, better reflects what AAIM is all about. And of course, we're funded by Health, Seniors, and Active Living. So I'm going to turn things over to Jim now, who's going to give you a bit of an overview of what our webinar is going to be all about. And both Jim and I will be speaking, as I mentioned, and just giving you a bit of ideas and going through the Active Aging webinar with you. So I'll just turn it over to Jim right now.
Okay. Thanks, Karin. And I think the part of that, the common ground and moving forward, working in concert with some of the campaigns that were generated and inspired by International Council on Active Aging, are changing the way we age. And that was a campaign that prompted Wellness Institute and now active aging in Manitoba to become champions of changing the way we age. So that kind of was the forefront of a lot of the things that that we're going to be talking about today. We are going to be sharing with you some information about the aging population in Manitoba, the benefits of active aging to individuals and the community. I'm going to get into a little bit about framing up what active aging means and what it can mean. Looking at active aging in Manitoba, the new version of us, really speaking about the ageless engagement of older Manitobans and what that looks like. Also, the notions of sport for life, sport for all. So we'll be spending a little time on that. And then the whole notion of life enrichment through active living, the importance of functional ability for everyday living, and active aging program ideas. So I'm not going to list them all right now. We'll get into that in a few minutes about how we're actually animating or trying to animate active aging in Manitoba. So this slide is basically kind of at the center of what we are about and what active aging is about. It is defined from the World Health Organization as the process of optimizing opportunities for health, participation, and security in order to enhance quality of life as people age. And that is a piece that we're going to be looking at moving forward. And I'll just take you back briefly to a transformation that occurred back in 1986 when there was the Canadian Summit on Fitness. We, as a whole community of Canada, changed the way we thought about physical activity and getting people involved and encouraging people to participate. And the term active living kind of emerged around that time, and you're seeing the results of that in a number of active living centers and active living labels being placed on things. Well, active aging is working toward broadening the reach, particularly to people who are 50 years of age and older, to encourage them to get connected and stay connected with a strong emphasis not only on the physical activity, but on social engagement and ongoing participation for one's entire life.
So now I'd just like to give you a little bit of a snapshot of where we're at right now in the country. So thanks to the Center of Aging, who has a great number of resources that are available to all of us, this graph was reprinted from Facts on Aging, Their Demographics. And it basically, this first graph here, just to give you a snapshot, it illustrates the current day right now. And as you can see, nearly 1 in 6 Canadian, if you look at this chart, or 5.8 million, if you want it broken down, are 65 years of age or older. So this is an age group that is definitely growing, and it's growing 4 times faster than the overall population. So if you fast forward the clock 13 years or so into the future, here again we have another graph from the Center of Aging. And it's a good depiction of how our population is aging. So you can see the bulge in the middle, the 50 to 54 and 55 to 59 age groups being the largest. So you can easily project that this could be if you know, a potential burden on our healthcare system and overall society, if people aren't mindful and really in terms of wanting to actively engage and actively age. And the last slide here, again from the Center of Aging, again gives you a snapshot, and it looks at sort of where Manitoba falls in with the rest of the country. And again, with 65 people, individuals 65 plus, they make up 15.6% of the population. So we're right about in the middle. The trend is showing that Canadians as a whole, we're living longer. So we can really understand that it is important that people take care of themselves and try to optimize their own well-being and their own health.
Okay, thanks, Karen. Looking at now just that growing population of older adults in Manitoba, and kind of the one that's startling and inspiring at the same time is life expectancy at birth over time. And you can see from this slide that it has definitely improved since 1991, where life expectancy for men was 75 years of age and women were 81. Taken again in 2012, men life expectancy 79 and women 84, and that shows that people are indeed living longer. So I want to flip to the next slide, which kind of is another way of looking at this. Basically, if you make it to 65, then here are the average years of life remaining. So you can see from this that for the males, they are looking at 17.7 years of life remaining, and for women, it would be 21.2. So the question is, how do you want to experience life beyond 65? Do you want a quality of life where you're maintaining your functional ability for things you want to do every day and things that you would like to do? Or do you want to be hindered by living with chronic conditions that could be preventable? So looking at this slide here, how active are older Manitobans? Well, when we take a snapshot right now, in the age group of 45 to 64 years, the men are 62.3% are active enough to reach the Canadian Physical Activity Guidelines, and only 44% of women are reaching that particular point. Then we take a look at people who are 65 and older. Well, that drops even more. For males, it's only 51.7% who would be considered active enough to reach the guidelines, and women, it's 37.0. So you can see from this that we have a lot of room for improvement with respect to moving the population of Manitoba. So with more Manitobans living longer, it's time to change the way we think about aging, and time to create and enhance opportunities to engage the aging in Manitoba toward optimal health for all. This starts with changing the way we think about aging. It requires the shedding of stereotypes about aging and older people. And that dialogue has already begun. The Center on Aging that Karin referred to earlier has really initiated a number of discussions on reframing aging, and that's really starting the conversation with respect to a shift in how we view older adults. It also requires a more inclusive approach that includes older adults in the planning process and draws on the rich experience and skills older adults bring to any table. So when we look at what does that mean and what's it going to take, this is really talking about creating and sustaining enabling environments. So while many campaigns and initiatives have focused on healthy choices and behaviors of the individuals, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to create enabling environments that support their healthy choices and their behaviors. There's also an openness to programs and services that are age and ability appropriate and that are appealing to older adults. We need policies on all levels that support enabling environments and that include planning and opportunities for older adults. And we also need dedicated capacities and resources that help us create and sustain enabling environments for active aging. So when this individual who's actually, he's an ambassador for Active Aging Day at Wellness Institute. This gentleman has been involved with a number of things, but what he represents here is the need to create and sustain enabling environments and making active aging the norm. We need more older adults participating, more older adults seen participating, more older adults encouraging others to participate, and more invitations and opportunities for older adults to participate. Looking at what is required moving forward to engage the aging, we need to support a culture of active aging where everyone is a participant and a member of the club for life. We are in the business of encouraging and enabling participants and creating participants.
So many of you, I'm sure, are aware of some of these concerns that people have about growing older. Perhaps you're older yourself, or you work with the older adults, but there are many concerns that people have. And keep in mind, this list that we're presenting to you here isn't an exhaustive list, and that concerns are very highly individualized too. What might be a concern for you or me isn't for the next person. And I think I may have mentioned, but nearly 1 in 6 Canadians 65 years of age or older are in the older adults, and it's a growing population 4 times faster than the overall population as a whole. There are some of these are some of the common concerns expressed by older adults, along with some health implications of aging. So the first, diminished abilities we have. So the functional ability for everyday living. This one is really very important to most everyone that we speak to or encounter, and it's not being able to do the things you've always been easily able to do. So that may be laundry, going up and down the stairs, gardening, playing with grandchildren, those types of things. Chronic conditions. We know the prevalence of chronic conditions as we age increases. So more than 1 in 5 Canadian adults live with a chronic disease. So that's quite significant. And this number jumps. Once you have one chronic condition, the probability of having more than one is greater as well. Canadians experiencing a persistent high level of preventable chronic disease risk factors. So about 4 in 5 Canadian adults have at least one modifiable risk factor for chronic disease, such as physical inactivity, perhaps unhealthy eating, or harmful use of tobacco, are just some examples. Cognitive ability, very important for individuals as we get older. So the ability to remember, engage, and fully participate in the activities that we want to engage in. Frailty, the picture you see on your right-hand side there, the fear of falling. It's a huge concern for many. People do not want to be perceived as a burden to anyone in their lives. People want to maintain their independence as long as they possibly can, and that's pretty much the bottom line for many people. Feeling more isolated, not being able to get out and about, perhaps transportation is a hindrance. The financial security and food security, these are also things important to note, but you need to be mindful of these things, especially if you're planning programs and services, that these may be some hindrances to participation at your site or for older adults. So it's important to note these things. And then, of course, ageism, elder abuse, and vulnerability, other things and other concerns that older adults in our community as a whole have. So if these are concerns that people have about growing older, what do you think might motivate individuals? It's kind of just the opposite. What motivated us in our 20s and 30s becomes less important. For older adults, the prime motivator is basically preserving long-term health and preventing future health problems. So when it comes to health issues, people over 50, they care most about their cardiovascular health, muscular health, mobility, energy, and brain focus, the things that I just mentioned. So that's the carrot that dangles for many people. Weight, which may have been a primary motivator in your earlier decades in your life, it's still a driver of motivation, but it's much less of a driver in this age, in the age as we get older. So that becomes less of a driver, and our health and our current health status and preventing future health problems are become our main drivers in our lives.
Okay, looking forward at some of the more popular activities, what's actually shown on this screen are the top two, walking and gardening. And there's a few others that we can show in terms of some of the most popular ones. That continues from home exercise, golf, bicycling, weight training, social dance, exercise classes, aerobics, swimming, fishing. Uh, we are continually checking, though, with our target populations to ask what they would like to do as well. This does give you a snapshot, but for example, pickleball does not show up on this particular chart. However, it's one of the fastest growing activities for older adults in Manitoba. Uh, we have bocce ball. We are going to be exploring a number of programs like walking football. That's very popular in the UK. But the key is to be open to suggestions and always encourage participation in the planning process with and among older adults who are the target population. The flip side of that too is the amount of time that we spend in front of a screen, in front of the television, and this is something we want to start to help people reduce this and get more into the active part of life. So while we're focusing on the benefits of active aging and engaging the aging, it's important to look at some of the potential negative forces that continually tempt us to sit. It's been said that sitting is the new smoking in terms of detrimental impact on health. So simply, central message is move more, sit less. And we are going to be continuing to pour out more messaging that encourages this, and that will be our mantra moving forward with active aging. What you see here is an infographic that has been actually produced by the Manitoba Health, Seniors and Active Living. And it really is one that points out the Canada's physical activity guide of 150 minutes of physical activity per week, and bouts of as little as 10 minutes a time. So these are things that are very achievable. So what this is about the individual activities and what individuals can do, and this is recommendations for individuals, but it also on the flip side of this uh, infographic, they talk about what communities can do to increase activity. So it takes a whole village to support active aging. And part of that component is healthy public policies, for example, legislation or bylaws that limit motor vehicle speed, healthy built environments, could involve things like traffic calming in neighborhoods, having roundabouts, speed bumps, speed humps, bike lanes, healthy opportunities, more people feeling safe using active transportation and all forms of that, and healthy people, meaning communities that have increased physical activity opportunities, reduced injuries, and increase in social interaction. So Yeah, this is actually is in one of the handouts, so you can actually refer to that uh, after this session. The other infographic that you see here too is one that I wanted to share because there is hope with respect to a convergence of a lot of groups and a lot of thought and a lot of planning and a common vision for physical activity in Canada. And this represents that, and we have this, the executive summary as one of the handouts as well. It does talk about a Canadian sport policy, the framework for recreation in Canada, Active Canada 2020, and curbing childhood obesity. Number of groups have come together. The conversation has started, and what we're hoping, this is there is hope based on an inspiring dialogue and an alignment of efforts in the common vision that will also extend to the older adults and include and be inclusive of older adults. We have talked a lot and will continue to talk a lot about physical activity for all, and that means looking at physical literacy, providing opportunities for skill development from the youngest age right through to the oldest member of our population. A lot of work is being done in the area of physical literacy, and the discussion dialogue has begun with respect to applying that across the life course. And the life course approach is really taking a look at everyone being a participant from the youngest right through until end of life. And a population approach, meaning taking a look at opportunities that really benefit everyone in the community and having opportunities for all. Okay, the another piece that, and we have one of the handouts as well, is why are we doing this? Well, Karin had mentioned the growing population of older adults and concerns that could be alleviated if we have a more active society. And the World Health Organization are promoting the priorities toward a decade of healthy aging. So we're trying to work together in concert to set things up for success for an entire decade of healthy aging from 2020 to 2030. And there are quite a few priorities listed. I won't go through those now. You can look at those in your handout.
So, when it comes to active aging, supporting healthy active aging needs to be done through both services and programs. And Jim and I are going to share some of these with you now. At the Wellness Institute, one of our main goals is to be a champion of active aging. We really want to stay true to the tenet of wellness. So paying attention and looking at all the different dimensions of wellness and supporting older adults in whatever dimension of wellness that they are focusing on, whether that be physical, social, emotional, spiritual, occupational. So we want to offer programs and services to meet the diverse needs of the aging population. And just like any other population, it is very diverse when we look at the older adult population. So we want to engage with them, we want to empower them, and do it in a respectful way. So I'm just going to take a few moments and share some of the things that we're planning or that we've done here at the Wellness Institute. Coming really soon is our Active Aging Day, which is on September 25th, as you can see. That's one of our members, Lydia. We always try to incorporate and use pictures of our members so they can see themselves and other members can see them as role models and people and things that people can aspire to doing, and people find that quite motivational. So on this Active Aging Day open house, our doors are open the entire day to individuals that might want to stop by. We have health talks, we have exercise classes, Our rehab clinic area is open where people can chat with experts. There's an exhibitor area we have on the gym floor. Many of our exhibitors are doing interactive displays, things like booking hearing screening. People can check their balance. We have a farmer's market, which we have always ongoing every Tuesday. I think this will be our last farmer's market, given that we're entering soon. Fall will be soon coming to an end, and winter coming, but we still have our last farmer's market that coincides with the Active Aging Day. Active Aging in Manitoba, we have a big activity area on our gym floor. So just some of the sampling of activities of the 55 plus games will take place. So there's really something for everyone. And our goal of this day is just to showcase all the different things that we have to offer and that are in existence also in the community. We want to motivate individuals, whether it's to come down to our site or try something in their house or wherever might be convenient for them, to become active or remain active. So we want to meet people where they're at and find out what works for them. So we really want to set people up for success. So the next slide here is a picture of someone working on someone's knee. So many people, the reason I'm showing this is many people think of the Wellness Institute as merely a gym, a place to come exercise, and that we're just all about exercise and equipment, but truly we are much more than that. We are a medical fitness facility, so there's many standards and protocol that we need to adhere to that perhaps other sites wouldn't have to. So with this accreditation and expertise, it also lends itself to enable us to offer many programs that you might not find elsewhere. Programs for people living with chronic conditions, for example, accommodating many of the needs of the older adult population. So the arthritis and joint replacement class is one of the new programs that we're currently offering, and this is one of our PTs or physiotherapists working with an individual who has just had a joint replacement of their knee. So we also offer programs in cardiac rehab and pulmonary rehab. We partner with the Alzheimer's Society and offer a Minds in Motion program for individuals. The list goes on. There's a plethora of programs that we offer. We offer a free chronic disease self-management program that's offered not only in our community, but in all the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority and regional health authorities that were funded for by Manitoba Health. So these are just some things that we do. We really try hard to address the needs of our community, really keeping people engaged and either maintaining their level of activity or getting them active.
Okay, I'm going to jump right into just reintroducing our not-for-profit organization, Active Aging in Manitoba. And from this slide, you can see we are trying to exude the notion of striving toward optimal health for life. There are a number of programs and services that we provide as well. There are a number of active aging presentations on a variety of healthy aging topics, from active aging to 10 habits for healthy living. We also are working in partnership with a number of groups to bring forward topics on like oral health for a healthy mouth, key to a healthy body, and have been working with groups such as the Alzheimer's Society with respect to healthy body for a healthy brain. I'll move into an area that we're going to actually show you a depiction of what this looks like, the Manitoba 55 plus games, which has been very popular with older adults in Manitoba. We have been averaging 1,000 participants at this annual event, and we're hoping in the coming months and years that we will be bringing the 55 plus games more close to home with respect to putting on how-to clinics and engaging older adults in games related activities. Also, there's plenty of opportunity with respect to volunteering and on a variety of levels, whether it be on committees, whether it be a part of our programs. We have a peer volunteer leadership program that encourages older adult peers to exercise and be active on a regular basis. And all of that information and more, we got the new website that just went live. So I would encourage you to visit our website. Uh, Moving forward, we are looking at ageless engagement and really striving for the engagement of older adults, no matter what their age, in healthy choices and behaviors that contribute to their physical, social, and mental wellness and independence and quality of life. So we are going to be continuing to promote and encourage and provide opportunities in a variety of activities and events. We promote programs that enable older Manitobans to stay socially connected, to participate in regular physical activity, eat healthy foods, and reduce risk for falls and injury. So that will be our guide with respect to any type of programming and approach that we're going to be taking moving forward. Ageless engagement under that banner, very quickly, just looking at being active for life, sport for life. And I'll get into that in a couple of seconds with respect to really extending the participation in a lot of activities that people may be familiar with or may want to start and try out for the first time. Physical literacy for life, we did talk a little bit about that earlier, and the need to actually have that throughout one's entire life, and having positive role models for life. And Karin alluded to that too with some of the photographs and the images that are being shared, which has made a real difference, a very positive impact when people can see people who are like them and kind of look like them. That inspires them to say, if they can do it, maybe I could too. Okay, so toward that notion of sport for life, we wanted to share with you a little clip from the recent Canada 55 plus games that took place in St. John, New Brunswick, third week in August of this year. So this is a short clip. It's about just over 3 minutes, but check this one out as soon as we can get it up and on the go here. Okay, that gives you a glimpse of some of the things that were going on in St. John, New Brunswick for the Canada 55 plus games. We had a real strong contingent from Manitoba who brought home quite a few medals. And their lead up event, which is our annual event, is the Manitoba 55 plus games that are going to be happening in Swan River on middle of June, June 13th to 15th next summer. So I'm going to move quickly now with respect to some of the other activities going on, starting with Active Aging Week, September 23rd to 29th. And there are going to be many opportunities throughout all of Manitoba and Winnipeg to celebrate that. Next slide, looking at major event. Karin mentioned the Active Aging Day at the Wellness Institute on September 25th. Then we are looking at, there's a variety of community health fairs and expos that are happening in Winnipeg and Manitoba, one of which is us teaming up with Sport Manitoba. When we talk about sport for life, they definitely would like to encourage older adults to come to their facility on Monday, October 1st, and that happens to be Seniors and Elders Day across Canada. And we are going to be helping them to attract older adults into their facility to take a look at some of the programs and services that they have. We'll have numerous health and active aging related organizations that will have plenty of information. They'll have information booths there, and there are going to be all kinds of activity areas and nodes where people can try out different activities related to the 55 plus games and other sports that they may want to participate in. So it's a wonderful opportunity and it's free. So we encourage everybody to come down and check that out. The other part is we are going to be distributing again the guide to active aging in Manitoba. We have been doing this every year around Active Aging Week, and this year we are going to have this in hard copy as well as on our new website. And this is all about a number of ideas and program opportunities that inspire and encourage hope. And that means programs and services that help older people engage. So make sure that you get a copy of this because it will trigger, hopefully, a number of opportunities and ideas for planning and engaging older adults. It's all about celebrating growing older in Manitoba and starting with the Active Aging Week, Seniors and Elders Day, and the whole month of October being Seniors and Elders Month. So we're hoping that organizations, agencies, community centers will take that extra step to engage older adults and involve older adults in their planning. We wanted to finish off with the whole notion about something that Karin had alluded to earlier and myself about changing the way we think about aging. And this is stemming back from that Champions of Changing the Way We Age campaign. But it really is looking at shifting attitudes and perceptions about aging and older adults from being perceived as past the best before date to being perceived as capable people with experiences, skills, and knowledge that can contribute a lot to any program. It also means shifting attitudes from older adults being perceived as a burden to being perceived as an untapped resource of life experiences, skills, knowledge, and expertise. It also means rather than being perceived as old and unable to be thought of and be seen as positive role models for healthy active aging. And we're seeing much more of that. The clip with the 55 plus games, the Canada 55 plus games really looks at that. And there are going to be many, many more of those images and those role models that are going to be developed. Now, we're hoping this is going to work, and if it doesn't, we can send you the link of this uh, shifting attitudes and what it's going to take to change people's outlook and view of aging and older adults in their community. Apparently, we ran into some technical issues with respect to the audio on that, so we will provide the link for that. But really, it's worth taking a look at because you can witness a transformation of uh, thoughts and stereotypes that people may have shared, and what a difference it makes when they actually witness other older adults participating and being proficient in a number of activities. So that really is an eye opener. Uh, Really, we wanted to end off with just the statement with respect to focusing on and emphasizing ageless engagement of older adults and the notion of active aging for life, like for while a person is alive and for their entire life.
Well, we've come to the end of this webinar, and we'd like to extend a big thank you for participating in our webinar. If you have any questions, we have a few minutes now. We can perhaps address a few. However, we have hope that you've enjoyed this session. It will be recorded, so and you will be sent the link. So if you'd like to watch it again or share it with someone else, we'd encourage you to do so. And also, please feel free to go to either of our websites for more information as well. As Jim alluded to, AAIM has a new website, Active Aging in Manitoba, and the Wellness Institute website too. We have lots of information. Our next webinar is slated for Thursday, October 30th from noon to 1. And it will be on low back pain tips for self-treatment. So we hope that you're able to join us for that one too. So perhaps we'll see if there's any questions right now. If anyone has any, please feel free to use the chat box on your screen, and we have a couple minutes where we can address them. So we'll just wait a second here and see if anyone has any questions. Oh, we have one question, and I'll pass this one over to Jim. This person, it says, I feel I have lots to contribute. Are there any volunteer opportunities you can recommend?
Okay, I think in terms of a person wanting to be a part of something and engage, I'll just say with the Active Aging in Manitoba, plenty of opportunity with the peer volunteer leadership program, Stepping Up with Confidence. We're always looking for somebody that has skills in speaking with our presentations, and so there's opportunities there. But there's all kinds of levels of opportunity for engagement with the Manitoba 55 Plus Games program, and that's something we would definitely encourage anybody who is looking for something to do. We definitely could put you in harness, as they say. The other part is I'll mention that we've been doing a lot of work with Volunteer Manitoba, and that is a tremendous source to find a connection. And a person could cherry pick an interest that they may have, or something that they're familiar with, or something they would like to find out about. But that's a wonderful way to become engaged. And on their website, just look for Volunteer Manitoba. They have plenty of situations where people can sign up and get plugged in, and it's a wonderful portal, if you will, for being a volunteer.
Well, on that note, I'd like to thank you again for joining us. We hope that you found it informative and helpful, perhaps inspired some of you to get moving or stay moving. And again, if you'd like to share it, you'll be sent the link. Be sure to check out the handouts that we have provided for you for this webinar as well. And we really hope to have you join us again back on Thursday, October 30th for our next webinar. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of the day. Take care.